Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brooklyn. Thank you, Brooklyn, and everyone who came out for the Push for Peace. I'm Lisa Evers, your host for Hot 97 Street Soldiers and this town hall. Thank you. Everyone who's here already knows the deal. Follow me on Twitter, @Lisa Evers. Our hashtag is #PushPeace, and we're trying to make a statement to show the city and the world that Brooklyn is about peace, that it's full of great people like yourselves who care about our youth and care about our communities, and are not just saying that with words, they're doing it with your actions by being here today and all the great work so many of you do on our streets each and every single day. So I'd love to give a big round of applause to everybody here. We're going to get it started right away. I want to introduce the man who made this all possible for us, who's been a longtime supporter of Street Soldiers, Hot 97, who back in the day, I don't want to say how many days ago, but back in the day, we were at parks showing people what to do when they were meeting up with police officers and how to handle those situations, informing them of their rights and their responsibilities as responsible members of our community. He's now the Brooklyn Borough President. He's opened up his home, the Brooklyn Borough Hall, to us today to hold this event. And we want to thank him so much and introduce Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. Eric?
Thank you, Lisa. And Lisa and I goes way back. And let me tell you something, inside Borough Hall, we have so many international people who come here. So many people come from across the globe and sit inside this courtroom, in the rotunda. But nothing warms my heart than seeing the faces who are here today, because it's all about Brooklyn. And I want you to understand that this is not my house. I have a house. This is your house. And I don't want you walking past this building feeling as though other folks walk in here. You walk in here. This is your space. And as long as I'm the borough president, you are going to be represented in a very real way. You know, several years ago when I was arrested as a child, people wrote me off. But I had a belief in myself. I'm going to turn all my haters into my waiters as I sit down and dine at the table of success. That's what we want to do. So we got to push for peace. We have to make this happen. You have a great panel here with some great thinkers, and some great people are in the house. Today, Borough Hall has never been more dignified than having folks come from all over the borough to talk about how we're going to do this in Brooklyn. Real ideas from real people and real solutions. That's what this whole thing is about. Ride with me for the next 4 years, and then when I'm re-elected for the next 8 years, and then in 8 years, we're going to take City Hall when I become the mayor, when we push for peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wait a minute, does that mean we can do a push for peace at City Hall and Gracie Mansion? Thank you very much, Eric Adams, and thank you to his tremendous staff here at Borough Hall for making this possible. This is how it's going to go down. I'm going to introduce our panel. We're going to have introductory remarks from everybody, and I will be moving into the audience, talking with people, getting comments, and getting your feedback and questions, and so will my executive producer, Tone Capone, right here. He's going to be talking to people to make sure we get as many voices heard as possible. So let me introduce the panel that we have for you. Joining us for this special episode of Street Soldiers live from Brooklyn Borough Hall, our Push for Peace, Assistant District Attorney Nicole Chavis. Nicole is the Chief of the Gang Bureau for Ken Thompson, the Kings County, that's Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. Please give it up for her. Also joining us, you've heard him on Street Soldiers many times, A.T. Mitchell, the founder of Man Up, Inc. They're out on the streets. I love sports programs, too, that really help keep our youth busy. And our next guest, Jasmine Ray, is the founder of Wall Ball. She's challenged me already, even though I'm a tennis player. We'll see who's got game there, maybe for charity. Jasmine, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. Also joining us is Dr. Darren Porcher. He is a professor of criminal justice here in the New York City area. He's also a former NYPD lieutenant with extensive experience in community affairs. Dr. Porcher, thank you so much for being with us. Also with us, you've heard her on Street Soldiers. Actually, a lot of the people here you've heard on Street Soldiers. Dr. Porcher was just on. Dr. Elisa English is our go-to therapist in times of crisis in our community. I see her out on the streets. I saw her out on the streets in Pitkin Avenue when Zorana Horton, the mother of 13 children, tried to save those kids and put her body in the way of those bullets and save those little children right as they were coming out of school. Dr. Elisa is there. And she deals with that trauma in the community. We're going to have her input on this. So Dr. Lisa, thank you so much for always being here with us.
Thank you.
My next guest, I just saw him not too long ago at a recording studio. I have to give a plug because the song is really amazing, that he did with LL Cool J. It's going to be coming out soon, but this is not just any rapper. This is the world's greatest battle rap champion, the one and only Mook. And watch me on Twitter because he may be changing his name to Push for Peace Mook after this.
I got you. Come on, ladies. Come on.
He's the international best battle champion, so we're going to hear what he's saying. You know, Harlem, love from Harlem, even Harlem's coming down to show some love here in Brooklyn.
Right.
And also with us is City Council member, another guest you've heard on Street Soldiers many, many times, City Council member Jumaane Williams, been making moves to try and get the shootings to stop in our streets, taking some innovative and different approaches. What he says is a seismic shift in how we approach violence in our communities, and we welcome Jumaane with us. Thank you so much. Jumaane, I want to start with you on this because you had the press conference this week. You were talking about this big change that's taking place with the way that the city is dealing with gun violence. You say it's not just about the police. We need police, but it's much more than that.
First, thanks for having me, Lisa, and thanks for always representing our communities on the radio. We always have an outlet. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's never been just about the police. That's a problem. The only resource that, if they sent anything to deal with this, was the police department, and we know they are a resource that needs to be there. But the issue is, where are the other resources? So it's unfair to ask the police department to pretend that they're all the other agencies. So I'm happy now. I co-chair the Gun Violence Task Force in City Council. We put some additional money in the City Council. We put out a report in 2011 or 2012 with some of the people on the panel, actually, I think a Man Up and some other folks who are on that task force, with recommendations of how we think we can reduce gun violence. Unfortunately, the former administration did not accept the recommendations. This one has, which we're excited about. What it does, it takes some of the models that were there, particularly Cure Violence, dealing with violence interrupters, provide wraparound services so that you have mental health services, you have job preparation and actual jobs that we put there. We have a legal service, we have mediation. So we have other services that are there. And most importantly, I think, is being coordinated like a system on a higher level with many departments. So you have the Department of Mental Health, you have DYCD, you have other agencies that should have always been using the same data that NYPD was using to send their resources.
And to put those resources into what you're calling the hot zones. And you're talking about, you brought up mental health.
Yep.
I want to bring in Dr. Elisa English. And one of the things that people are saying, we have people here in the audience, some of the mothers who lost their children to gun violence. We have survivors of gun violence. Where's Kareem and his crew right here? We have many other people who've been directly affected by that. What does that do to the mindset of an individual when this is an everyday reality?
It creates a sense of trauma. I mean, even when it's secondary trauma, the fact that you weren't necessarily the victim of a violent attack, just the fact that it's going on in your community impacts you in a very negative way. It can have a lot to do with your sleep pattern, how you engage with other people, your fear, anxiety. Trauma is a very serious and underdiagnosed disease, and because in many cases we become normalized to very difficult situations.
Abnormal and disruptive and antisocial behavior.
Absolutely.
Let me bring in the district attorney's office, Assistant District Attorney Nicole Chavis. She's the head of the gang unit there. Ken Thompson, he's been also on Street Soldiers, a guest, talking about a different approach to dealing with this problem of gang and the related gun violence. What can you tell us about that?
Good afternoon. What I would say is, clearly we are all aware that the gang and gun violence in Brooklyn is way out of control at this point. So what District Attorney Thompson is doing is he's taking an aggressive, proactive approach to handling it. We're targeting individuals who are bringing these guns to our borough, that is causing the problem here. Back in April, they actually arrested and indicted a number of individuals who were bringing guns from Georgia here to Brooklyn. In addition to that, what he's doing is he formed a crime strategies unit back in February. What that unit does is that unit focuses on major drivers of crime, specifically people who are committing gun and gang violence. And anytime those individuals have any contact with the criminal justice system, whether it's for something as small as a fare beat, they're being targeted. And we're working closely with the police department to build strong cases against them to get them off of our streets. So you can all rest assured that the district attorney is doing all that he can to put an end to the gang gun violence that's occurring here in Brooklyn.
Dr. Darenport, your criminal justice professor, as you look at these new approaches that are being tried under this administration where, as opposed to casting a wide net across the community, it's more targeted, what do you think about the potential for its effectiveness and bringing us greater safety on our streets?
Well, I would like to say with the new administration, I think they're moving leaps and bounds ahead of the prior administration. We have some issues in terms of mistrust of police with the recent Eric Gardner situation, but I think we as a community as a whole, if we can work together, we basically control our communities. So if we can work together with police, granted, we need to gain the trust of police, but police have to take a step forward to allow us to trust them. So I think it requires a lot more community interaction from police with community, because we have a police department of, what, 36,000 people. However, we're 8.25 million people in this city. 8.25 million people can speak volumes in terms of getting the necessary information to the police departments to combat combat gun violence in the city. So I think it's something we as a whole, we need to jump in and band together. And if you look at the massive turnout that we have here today, this is a start.
All right, A.T. Mitchell, man up. You've been out on the streets in Brownsville, East New York for a long, long time. What do you think about this? Do you feel finally community groups are will be getting the support and recognition they deserve?
Yes, I think that's a given, and that's a good thing that actually today we now have the commitment from this administration, this city council, this borough president's office that has devoted their attention to these particular community-based organizations that work in those troubled areas. I mean, we are no different than anyone else. I think when we want to get to these individuals, what we discover is that there's a lot of things that they're lacking. There's a lot of resources that those same individuals need. And so before we think about incarcerating them or prosecuting them, what our organizations are thinking about doing is getting to them and being able to hear them out and provide the necessary resources. What we find is that when you have that sort of strategy, that a lot of these individuals are not criminals at all, that they're just like any other individual in the city that wants to go about living peacefully. They want a house, they want to own, they want to rent, they want to take care of their families. And so this city has an obligation, all of the city agencies involved, to service that high-risk population as well. And so that's something that my organization, Man Up Incorporated, and so many other organizations that's present here today, we have committed ourselves to do, and that's something that's unique, and so we're very positive-minded about the future.
And one of the important things when we talk about our youth that so many people have told us about is recreation, sports, activities available to the youth. This was the first summer that many of the community centers and the public housing developments were open. And our next guest, Jasmine, has started a group called Wall Ball. We know sports are very important. Tell us a little bit about that and what effect that has on the kids.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us,
Yeah,
Jen.
sure. So I'm here to offer an alternative. So when you feel like you are being failed by the police officers or the organizations, or you are not getting the resources that you need, I would suggest that you turn to sports. And I think sports is a great avenue to go down when you have sort of an aggression and you need to get it out. And rather than take it out on each other, you know, what I promote is a sport of handball. So the sport of handball, and I mean, I hope everybody knows the sport of handball is in New York City. We have over 2,000 handball courts, and what you do is you hit the ball against the wall. And I've had a lot of players tell me that rather than hit each other, when you have that aggression, they go right down the block and they hit the ball against the wall, and it's almost a form of therapy. As opposed to talking, you go and you hit a ball instead of hitting each other. And I'd just like to say one more thing.
Of course.
Other than sports, I know I'm here to talk about recreation and offer an alternative, but I also want to say that, you know, a lot of what I've heard so far, everyone has been talking about the police need to take action, or, organizations need to take action. But I think one of the biggest problems here is that we are attacking each other. And I think that before we point the blame at anybody else, we really need to fix what's inside of ourselves. And, there are cops doing a lot of us an injustice, but there is more of an injustice that we're doing to each other. So I think that you guys, all of us, ourselves, need to look at ourselves first.
I saw a lot of people shaking their heads with that comment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me bring in Mook here, the international, intergalactic, world's best battle rap champion. You saw him on Total Slaughter,
Thank
Road
you,
to
Lisa.
Total Slaughter, the
you.
reality show. You see him all over. You hear him on Hot 97. As a young African-American man, being in hip-hop, do you feel people look at you a certain kind of way that might not be positive?
Yeah, I mean, all the time. The stereotypes are always going to be there. Just from the way you dress, and the way you talk, just because it might be different than how you're supposed to talk, quote unquote. But where we come from, and that's what I represent, from where we come from, that is really real. You know what I mean? This is the way we don't conform. You know, hip hop was started to have a voice for people who don't have a voice. You know, so when you join the hip hop community, you're basically rebelling. It's a rebel against all of society, what they say you're supposed to be. And it ain't just hip hop. It's rock and roll. You know what I mean? It's punk, everything. So, you know, this is who we are. And this is who we're always going to be. That doesn't mean you can't be educated. That doesn't mean you can't go to school. I went to school. I went to college. I finished 4 years. You know, I'm a rapper.
That is a secret about a lot of rappers,
Yeah.
how much education they have.
Yeah, you know, and
Some of
it's-
them.
Yeah, it's a sad stereotype out there, but you know that's why I'm on the panel.
That's why we have you here. So let me ask you this, and we appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
I'm not used to really so I'm sorry. I'm not really used to being
On this kind of mic? On this
No,
kind of panel?
No, yeah, just right here. I'm used to being right there, looking.
You mean in the will the defendant please rise position?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. For my people though.
I hear you. Let me just ask you this, and then I want to move into the audience, so if you have a question or comment, please raise your hand. I'll start on this side of the room, we'll work our way over there, or flag tone down, and we're going to come to you. I want to bring in some of the community organizations and people on the front lines that are out there too. I see you now. I'm going to come right over to you, baby. Mook, what about the vibe? How do you assess the vibe on the street right now, just the feel? Is it tense? Is it different? Is it better? Is it worse?
No, I mean it's different, and I think before you know we start because you know people blame police a lot, but you got to look inside first of our own community. You know, when I was growing up, and now I'm not that old, but when I was growing up, I was kind of like the last of almost like the golden era when you still had older dudes that we looked up to, and they told us the right and the wrong and things to do and everything. It wasn't really that senseless, you know what I mean? It had a purpose. If it was anything, if it had to be violence, it was like with a purpose. Now it's a lot of, it's a lot of senseless violence because there isn't anybody for the younger generation to look up to see them every day going to school, because it's, in our communities, you can't really get out, like you have to go to school there, you have to live there, you have to eat there, you have to raise your family there, you have to watch your mother struggle there, you have to watch everything, and it's all start within the community. And we need older guidance, that's what we need.
And those positive male role models, which we always keep hearing about, and we have them, and that's one of the reasons that we wanted to have this event today and have the community groups involved. We have men from the fraternity for the Black Men's College Tour. We have that. We have so many other organizations. 500 men making a difference. You're talking about adult men. Julius, I'd love to come to you and get your take on this, and your feelings and thoughts about where individual personal responsibility comes into this.
I think individual responsibility is key. I think that we have to connect the dots. I know we in Brooklyn, we work with the granddaddy of violence, A.T. Mitchell. We work with G-Mac, a couple of other groups, Chris Owens Foundation, and I think that's the beginning. We have to learn to connect the dots. We have to learn to work together with each other, create these rolling impact zones that will ultimately result in the demise of violence. Like Mook said, we have to reach back and cultivate our youth. It's not enforcement, it's about cultivation. It's no justice, it's just us.
Correct.
We got to do what we got to do, and it's as simple as that. Thank you,
Lisa.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you very much to 500 Men making a difference for all their support for this event and everything that they've done. Shanduk McFadder with GMAC, if you would like to get your thoughts on this. You've been on the wrong side, now you're on the right side, and you've gone through it, trying to help the youth not to make those same kind of mistakes. And what is some advice that you have for people?
Pretty much, exactly what Mook said. We came from an era that we had leadership, we had morals, principles, and codes. Where we at today, our youth are running with something that we, in my generation, took and didn't guide them, right? So now we got to step up to that guidance, right? So the difference is now you have people like myself, and there's so many different others. Like when you talk about your AT Mitchells, when you talk about your 500, you talk about Jumaane Williams, you talk about Eric Adams. In Brooklyn, we all know each other, right? We all know the work that each other do, and we support each other's work. And we stand on the front lines and show you that change is possible, right? Many of people like myself, right? 1994, age 16 on Rikers Island, was one of the first bloods in New York City. And now I'm out here advocating to stop us from killing us. Just like the sister said, we create the injustice for ourselves, right? So even when it comes to our police department, first and foremost, we can't be out here angry because every police officer isn't bad, right? Every person in the streets isn't bad. So we gotta single out the problems and focus on the issues at hand and continue to be a united front for this work.
Absolutely, that's why we wanted to bring everybody together here today. And tell us your first name and your group.
Hi, my name is Shatisha. I'm from 3-1 Events, but I'm talking as a mother today. I have 2 daughters and 1 on the way. And what I'm seeing...
Congratulations.
Thank you. So my thing is, what I'm seeing on social media is in my next. And what I say by that is I had 2 kids, and I live in Bed-Stuy, and I had an incident outside where I heard gunshots, and I told my husband, run into the next room and make sure that the stray bullet didn't hit my daughter. And it's sad that I have to say that, but it happens. So I feel like my advice would be we have to take a stand. We have to wake up now, make a difference, and be the change you want to see. Not for just us, but for our kids.
And for the parents who don't want to see their children as being next. And Kareem, I want to speak to you as Wheelchairs Against Gun Violence. You all have been affected in a very real way. Your lives have been changed because of it. What would you like to say on this?
Well, Wheelchairs Against Guns is an organization we use our disabilities first and foremost to show them that we was the streets, we were a part of the streets, and this is definitely a real part of the streets. And if you continue to do it, you'll be lucky to be like us in Wheelchairs Against Guns. So, we're just here, and we also just want to provide, because we know there's nothing for them to do, so we also have to look at that angle to provide something for our youth to do in these communities.
And there are many things, as we see from so many of the organizations that are here. You're listening to Hot 97 Street Soldiers live from Brooklyn Borough Hall, our Push for Peace Town Hall show. Twitter @LisaEvers, #push4peace. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back right after this.
Interesting to see how they
Not too long a break. We're getting right to it.
which is good. I guess it's trying to keep it balanced, keep it focused. But it's that's your child?
Oh, okay. Jamal from the Borough President's office tells me when I come to you with the mic, if you really, get on that mic, maybe Mook can give some lessons over here on how to rock the mic like that.
Come on, Lisa.
If you speak loud like I do, with a big mouth, what can I say? If you speak loud, they can hear you downstairs in the community room, and also, because there's speakers there, and there's also our live tweets and stuff are going on, so.
Say
if
hello
you
to
can
my
talk loud,
nieces in the
that'd be
back.
great.
Coming in after
They're in the back. They're not looking at me right now, though.
Charles Hines, yes. That was, and
Stand up.
but I'm hoping that
These are my nieces.
he looks at it.
Stand up. I love them.
I think he will. So, I know you have a very tough job, considering, and that's why I'm not trying to get to them before you have to. I'm sure you see it on an everyday basis.
Saturdays probably, right? Seeing patients?
No.
Really?
I think I gotta come over.
Okay. I got you. The premium clients.
Yeah, the premium,
Saturdays.
premium clients get Saturday.
Because a friend of mine does the same thing.
I mean,
Do you know Edgar
you
Tyson?
know it.
No, but I should look him up.
I'm not trying to.
Yeah, he's he's a professor of social work at Ford, but he does a lot of Saturdays.
Yeah.
That's how I started.
For premium clients, you'll come out.
But I
Yeah.
really do know
Okay.
from being a Brooklyn.
But I think he just takes it whenever he wants.
Yeah.
He's a little, but he's a little
Yeah.
in a good way. How long have you been doing that for?
You know, when you're growing up, it's
Maybe
somewhat
about
about culture.
6 years, 7 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you got your doctorate 7 years ago?
Yeah, 2005.
Okay. Let me turn this off.
Yeah, right?
Tell everybody my business.
And I just made fried chicken last night.
It's just sometimes the environment.
And I'm going to come over here on this side.
Please turn off your phones. I keep hearing phones in the room.
Dodge.
Uh-oh. You want to get kicked out.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a hard, like rock, it's like between, being between a rock and a hard place. It's very difficult. So, we're just hopeful that it just changes, the climate changes, you know? So, be light up. Right, got it.
She's over the social worker.
We did a lot of
Peter,
sometimes the things that come, I'm like, oh my God.
He's a man.
Yes, way. You sure?
Yeah.
I don't think you can, Tom. No, I don't think you can. Baby, buddy.
Who? Hornigan?
Buddy.
Why you gonna come? Why you always gotta sit next to me?
What's up, Rob?
No, come on.
Sure. I got you.
Okay. All right, but they're leaving. Okay, I know you. I know when you're a famous celebrity.
Hold
up.
Don't
We
no,
them
don't
girls.
do me like that. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. First of all, I want to thank Lisa for bringing us out here. I want to thank Brooklyn for letting Harlem be in the building. Yeah, I got my man Mook on the board, and he representing us right. We trying to stop this violence thing, and it's only us that could stop it, because it's only us doing it to each other, like everybody else said. But we sorry we have to rush out because we got filming stuff to do. But we love all y'all. Watch out for season 3, and the next one will definitely be on the panel.
All right, I love that. All right, hold on. And Duchess,
Spoken well, my
say a few
brother.
words.
Lisa, I just want to say thank you for having us. And Brooklyn was the first place that I came to when I came to New York, so it's like home to me. And hopefully, I can talk C's into going back to Brooklyn soon.
Honeymoon in Brooklyn. I like that. Let's give it up for Duchess.
I mean, if they really want a black ink in Brooklyn, I might do that.
All right, Caesar and Duchess from Black Ink. You see the reality show. Thank you guys for coming out and showing support. We appreciate it.
I will. All right. I'm here. I'm representing, yo. Harlem. You heard?
Brother Malcolm, we're going to do it after you.
They got me.
Get you afterwards, okay? All right. All right, let's give it up for Caesar and Duchess and wish them a very happy, long, and loving marriage. Engaged.
No, they all. That doesn't mean anything. It was a black life that took down. They're involved in the industry. It was a black man that took together. You know what I mean? They
All right, we're about to get started here again. And to all my panelists, hey Rob, thanks for being with us. Please feel free to jump in, okay? We're already halfway through the show. And also, we're going to, right immediately following the show, please do not get up and leave because we're going to be presenting, we have an amazing JetBlue Travel Award certificate, a two round trip passes on JetBlue. We're going to be giving those out, so we're going to do that first. So if you want to see if you want a prize, you need to be here when your number is announced, and then we can take pictures and talk to everybody after all that, okay? So let's get started with the second half here because we got people, everybody kind of moving. Welcome back to Hot 97 Street Soldier Special Town Hall Edition, Push for Peace, right here live from Brooklyn Borough Hall. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. Twitter at Lisa Evers. Our hashtag is #4peace. And let me introduce our phenomenal panel to you. Assistant District Attorney Nicole Chavis with the Kings County, that's Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. She heads the gang unit. A.T. Mitchell from the organization Man Up. We have Jasmine Ray from Wall Ball. We also have City Council Member Robert Cornegie. Thank you for being with us, representing Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights. All right, all day, every day. He just joined us. Thank you very much. Dr. Darren Porcher, a criminal justice professor. Dr. Elisa English, our community-based therapist. The one and only international, intergalactic, amazing, best, incredible, battle rap champion ever, Mook. Positive Mook. And also City Council Member Jumaane Williams, who's also the chair of the Committee on Gun, Gun Violence Task Force. Okay, I like that. And also a huge crowd and huge audience here of people wanting to make comments. Rob, let me start with you because you just got here. What do you see happening? You've done some initiatives with the young people. We're talking this segment on kind of solutions.
Well, I want to thank you for allowing me to be on the panel, but I feel, with this distinguished panel and representing Bedford-Stuyvesant, I'm really saddened by the fact that we have to even have this panel. Like, my community is disproportionately affected by gun violence. We have higher rates of gun violence, higher rates of black male unemployment and underemployment. So that's a recipe, clearly, for disaster. The absence of programming, because these larger nonprofits have taken over and there's really no smaller nonprofit or mom and pops nonprofits who are on the ground doing the work are getting these contracts. So it's a challenge for me as a council member and as a new council member to make sure we award grants to those individuals and groups who are really doing the work. So.
All right, thank you very much. I want to bring in right now Minister Lamore Whitehead. He is working with the youth here in Brooklyn, and we're talking about solutions. What do you see needs to be done?
Well, like I always say, thank you for having me. And our youth don't trust us as adults. And my father was the first man to be killed by the chokehold. And, Eric Gardner just got killed by the chokehold. And Councilman Carnegie and myself was speaking a while back. I believe our youth is driven off of fear. So the gang violence, the gun violence are just symptoms, and the disease is fear. They can't trust us. They have nobody to go to, nobody to turn. We have a great man as Eric Adams in the Borough President's Office, where that he's extended his arm to help the community. This is the first time the young people have access to Borough Hall. Leaders of Tomorrow Brooklyn, which is my organization, we have done about 4 events here for the youth. AT has been in the community. See, it's a lot of times that a lot of people that's running for the elected officials, we call them ambulance chasers just to be on TV. Our young people see this now, and they're tired of being used. They're tired of being abused. So now they're lashing out.
All right, let me get a comment from Dr. Elisa English on that. What about that? Is the violence a reaction, or is the violence come down to who's putting their finger on that trigger and pulling?
Well, it's probably a combination of both, but I think that I think there's been a great deal of conversation around personal responsibility, and that personal responsibility happens in the womb. When you're, raising children in your home, you must understand that they see the conflict that you have in your own home, whether it's for your relationships, parental relationships, interpersonal relationships, and so it starts there. And let me say this, listen. What happens is often when children, as early as between 0 and 5, experience that, it's very difficult to treat it if you don't address it early. So by 14, you see a complete decline in their ability to resolve conflict and to manage their anger. And so it's important for you to look at your inner self. How are you responding to each other in your home where they spend most of their time, where there's not a whole lot of back and forth? I'm angry with you, you're angry with me, we're arguing, we're yelling, and they're sitting back watching. Is this how adults interface with each other?
All right, good point. It's the home, what happens in the home is very, very important. I want to bring in Monica. Her son Jamal was killed when he was 22 years old, and you're here with a group of mothers who've undergone what has to be the most devastating loss for any woman, any mother. And Monica, thank you for speaking out, and we just want to get your thoughts on this.
Okay, I'd like to say a few things. Number one, there's mothers like me and other mothers who are here today. We've been doing this work before our children were murdered. We've been out here, we go to the hospitals, we go to the wakes, we go out to the walks and all the things that people do. And we can't get any funding or anything because we're not an organization. We are parents. That's all we should have to be. We shouldn't have to be in an organization. That's one. We have organizations that do good work, but then we have organizations that they hear the word murder and that's all they want to go with. Those organizations right there, I don't even want to deal with them because they're the ones that's getting funded, and me, a mother, and the other two that I'm sitting with right now, and other mothers that are in here, we get nothing. We get no help. We get no nothing. I have a 2-year-old, well, he's 5 now. My son, when he was murdered back in September of 2011, his 2-year-old son came down and saw him fall in front of the house where he still resides. I have gone to the politicians. I have gone to councilmen. We still in the same areas. These people are still out. Our cases are unsolved. We get no help from nobody. And it's not fair. It's not right. I understand that we are a community, because I was born in 65. I might not look at things very much, but anyway.
Well, wait, let me, because we're up against the clock here. You said a lot of very profound things that I know moved a lot of people here. We have some elected officials on our panel here. City Council member Jumaane Williams. Yeah. For mothers like this who don't want to become full-time organizations, is there a way to help them and support them in this grassroots community
First, there's two things I want to say. The funding issue, it is a very real issue. It is difficult to get city council funds to the groups as easily as you might think. You may watch the news, certain things happen with these monies. Each time something happens with it, they make another layer. So it is difficult. We do try very hard to get the funding. It does have to go to a 501c3. That's just the way the rules are. We try to get it to, sometimes we get it to some black association through another organization. You should talk to your councilman about ways to do it. And I want to wish you grace and peace for the loss of your son. I know that pain never goes away. With the gun violence, though, I did also want to mention, one, we should never try to oversimplify it because it's a multi-pronged problem and it's a multi-pronged solution. But I do want to say quickly, there's two macro things that I always see. One is the supply, the other is demand, right? So the supply is the amount of guns that are coming into this community. We have to pass laws and do what we can to prevent that from coming in. The demand, even if you have 1,000 guns on a block, does not mean someone has to pick it up and shoot it. So we're really trying to figure out how to get the demand down. But I always want to say, we have to make sure that we let our young people know that they're not animals, and there's a reason why this is happening. Not an excuse, because you have personal responsibility, but we have to bring race and class into this because these things have been happening. It is to me, no shock that the people who were enslaved in this country are the people who are catching the most problems now. And if we look at the places that have the most gun violence, you will see the educational system having problems in those same communities. You will see unemployment having very high in those communities. You will see people in foreclosure in those same communities. It's not by accident. I don't know if right now, today, it's on purpose, but it is systemic and systematic. And if we don't acknowledge that, then these kids think that something is wrong with them. But they are reacting as if any human being would react given the same set of circumstances. And I want to make sure that we always say that, not as an excuse, but to put it in context so that we can move forward.
All right, thank you very much, City Council member Jumaane Williams. All right, we were talking about reaching out to the youth today, and 7-year-old Howard told me he wanted to say something. You want to say something on this?
I want everybody to put down the guns, and I want,
That was good enough.
I think that's a good place to start. All right, let's give it up for Howard. Can you say push for peace? Come on, can you say push for peace? How about if I come back to you?
Push for peace.
All right, let's give it up for Howard. All right, who else wants to talk here? Yes, go ahead.
How you doing, Lisa? Thank you for having me. My name is Calvin Klein Bako, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I want to say I have a story about the 80s, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, a lot of people kind of glorify the 80s. I just want to say that from the people from the 80s, I would like for you to actually tell your true story. A lot of these kids is looking up to you, but they don't understand your pain because you don't express the pain. You only express the glorifying part of it. You know, I'm with the organization Guns Down, Life Up, and I ask you this much. I'm not asking you to put your guns down. I'm just asking you why you're picking it up. And Mook, you the truth, man. You the truth.
Thank you.
You are the future. You know what I'm
Thank you.
saying? So we listen to you. We pay attention to you, man.
I
So, you know what I
appreciate
mean?
it.
I salute you, brother.
Thank you.
And you got to give Mook credit because we reached out to a lot of hip hop artists, and you see who's up here today, Mook. All right, real quick, what's your name? I got to give the kids. I'm sorry, I got a weak spot here. What's your name?
Rockstar JTB, also known as June Treasure Bennett.
Oh wow, there go my show. So what do you want to say on this topic about this? About the guns and what's happening on the streets?
Well, to be honest, I live in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and I lost my uncle and my grandfather over gun violence, and I've also had loved ones who had been hooked on drugs, and I just wanted to tell them to stop the violence because I have actually seen somebody get hurt.
And what did that do to you? How did that make you feel?
It made me feel sad. I want to cry, but I don't really like crying for some reason.
Wow, she's a...
I just want to say that I love everybody, and I hope they stop.
And everybody loves you, okay? Thank you so much.
Lisa, just really quickly, because this is important to something I think Dr. English said. Now, if this young child doesn't get the service she needs and the therapy to deal with that, which a lot of kids have to, when they start getting older, what do they do with that trauma and that imagery in their head?
Well, I'm going to get a comment right now from Vladimir Kalixty. She's a licensed mental health therapist. And what do you say when you hear children? These are very young children in our community. I always wondered as a reporter when I go to these scenes, I get so upset by it. But then these are happening in broad day, and these kids are growing up with this as if it's normal.
I thank you so much for being here, and I feel like it's related to what the panelists were saying. It's about self-worth. I want to do something quickly with you guys that I usually do with my clients, very quickly. You see this dollar bill? Everybody sees it, right? You see it? It's crisp. Hasn't been touched. So I'm crumpling it up. I'm tearing it up. My question to you is, does it still have its value? So that's for you guys. That's for the young people. You've been hurt, you've been crumpled, and I know like right now in the media, as opposed to, as your lives may seem as though it's expendable, but you still have your worth. Just like this dollar. I can go to the store and still use this dollar because it has its worth. So just like you. So it's just a matter of knowing your worth, knowing that you are worth it, and believing that you are worth it.
All right, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the bad boy trainer right here. Been wild on Twitter, pushing the push for peace. We appreciate it. What do you have to say about it?
Basically, I just want to let y'all know that I'm the alternative to prison to death. Like how Kareem got shot and the rest of the family out here, I did 8.5 years in federal prison, just got off parole, but when I first came home, I made an oath that I was going to push positivity as hard as I push negativity. And if y'all want to get with the movement, at Bad Boy Trainer.
At Bad Boy Trainer. Hashtag push the
Lisa.
push the number 4 peace. All right, stand up and tell us your name real quick.
How you doing? My name is T. Parrish. I'm a part of Wheelchairs Against Guns. I think I heard a lot of good answers out here today, but one thing I didn't hear anybody speak about was the teachers. You know, these kids go to school and they're in class for about 8 hours a day. I think it's very important that these teachers take some responsibility and put something positive into these kids. When we go to the schools, a lot of the kids say that they feel like they don't get anything in return for the time that they spend in these classrooms.
All right, I'm just going to get a quick
Thank
comment
you.
from the educator on the panel, Professor Darren Porcher. Just a quick comment about the education, then I want to bring it back to the guns and the gun violence, but thank you for making that point.
I teach criminal justice every day on a university level. But I understand your point. However, when we look to the New York City Police Department's Community Affairs Bureau, they have a juvenile justice component that goes into these schools actively and teaches about gun violence, crimes in the city, and things to that effect. So this is something that does move forward. So there is an element that is out there. In addition to that, I heard someone mention there was an issue with social media, if you ever have any concerns in terms of something that your child is doing on social media, you can always reach out to the New York City Police Department's Juvenile Justice Bureau, and they can look at this, whatever you see on social media, and determine what the actual meaning of this is. Because, I mean, I'm not a young guy, so a lot of this stuff I see, even myself, I have a difficult time deciphering, but they can do it. So I urge you as parents, if you do, stay abreast to what your kids do in social media. Make sure you know get their passwords and constantly review their accounts. And if you see things that don't make sense, don't hesitate to make that call.
All right, don't hesitate. AT, you want to get in on this here as we're
Yes,
counting down the
because-
final minutes?
Yes, I appreciate it. This is about solutions, right? We all know the problems, and sometimes it really sickens me. My patience runs short because we don't focus enough of our time on solutions. And I think that the solution to the problem is in this room, and outside this room, it's in every single one of us, right? We all got a role to play. We can point fingers at each other all we want, and it will create another problem. What we have to do as a borough, as a city, is that everybody has to know their role. They need to get in their lane, and they just need to do something. You know, sitting on a couch, looking at television, making your personal opinions about, and not getting out there on them streets and talking to them same young people that you see each and every day, or those that we've raised, is part of the problem. This is something that a number of us are out here doing daily. So when you fail to focus on the solution, you're creating a bigger problem. And so I would hope that out of this here function, out of this particular forum, that we really come out of this with some work, some tangible solutions. Thank
All
you.
right, and as we come into the closing portion of the show, let's just focus quickly on solutions. Jahar, the gentleman, quick comment. I'm holding the mic because I'm going to have to pull it out real fast.
Peace, what's going on? I think the solution is, like Moose said, we have to educate ourselves. I think our youth, we have the Willie Litch syndrome, which is, you know, to control the slaves back in the day, they used to play like light skin versus dark skin, and we still have that. We need to realize that together we're stronger, and we need to help each other out.
All right, there it is.
Say hello to one young person when you go home today, man. Say hello to one young person on your way home.
That's what I was just gonna say. Before we did, you know, as like parents, you know, because I grew up like this, man. You know, my mother was on drugs when I was young. And as children, we disconnect with a lot of that because we don't really have nobody to talk to us, like even in the home. Like we just get to go home and we just get in our rooms and do whatever we want to do. You know, just talk to, you know, your child, talk to these people, let them know that they exist.
Even on the street,
You know
on
what I
the
mean?
corner, you pass a group of young people probably every day and say nothing to them. And if they feel invisible, they act invisible. Just say good morning.
I
say
think that's
good
a great
evening.
point. It all comes down to recognizing, I mean, really, a lot of this comes down to recognizing everybody
I
with the
just
same
passed the
human
basketball
dignity.
court and there was no kids on there. Like, it's crazy. Like,
That is
kids don't
crazy.
even want to go to the NBA no more because we don't really have, like, it's nothing to do out. Like, that's, so
They're
the violence
afraid.
is, no, go
They're
ahead.
shutting it down.
Quick, I'm Shanae Johnson. I lost my son to gun violence. But what I want to talk about
Sorry.
today, he was only 17, but what I want to talk about is that I have 3 young black boys, and I want to say I love you, all of my brothers. But there's a triple threat. There was a young man in Queens that said that there's a triple threat on our young black men, and that's where it ties in together: police brutality, black on black crime, and racial killings. And so once we get, you know, we're torn all over the place, but I want to make my boys and make them aware of that, that you as a black man have to be aware of what's going on around you at all times, and let them know that we love them and that we embrace them. Yes, I lost my son, but I refuse to lose the rest of them or any more in my community.
All right, Shanae, thank you so much for thank you so much for speaking out. I'd like to hear from anybody with any of the community organizations here that's got some specific solutions you want to shout out real quick, and give us some. We're talking about solutions.
Embrace them. Get their name. Say, yo, what's up? How you doing? I live in a neighborhood. Where you live? Just talk to them. And to the bottom line, they will answer you. I'm a psych nurse, and I dealt with a lot of them. And if you give them your ear, they will listen.
All right, amen to that. Thank you. I'm going to bring in Chris Foy. His son, his teenage son, Chris Owens, was shot and killed in the streets. He's started an organization years ago, been very active, been on Street Soldiers a number of times. And just, Chris, with everything you've seen and everything you continue to see, what are your thoughts on solutions?
Basically education. You know, at the end of the day, we're working on a mindset.
We got our youth right here, the Chris Owens Foundation, our youth committee, and it's...
Stand up, guys, stand up. Chris Owens Foundation Youth Committee.
I want her to, she's gonna speak on, this is my son's family, so I want you to hear from you.
Okay, give us.
I actually lost my cousin to gun violence, and I just want to touch base on what he said. Everything is systematic. It does. I'm not going to say it's happening on purpose, but we are targeted our communities, and it is the lack of education. So it's not about who we vote for in the elections. It's about our dollar. Our dollar is our vote. Where you put your money. You buying cheap food. You buying new sneakers. You got to invest your money in your health. Don't risk your life, your health to get money. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Nazir right here. Nazir's got a little comment.
I just want to say that I'm a part of KDW, and we stand for gun violence, and we anti-gun violence, and we push the peace, and we rap for peace.
All right, we're going to hear a little rapping after the show. Maybe you'll entertain us, all right, Nazir? Let's give it up to him. He's 9 years old, and look, he's got enough nerve to come up and speak in front of this crowd of adults. We love you, baby. We love you.
Thank you.
All right, Solutions, stand up, please.
Hello, my name is Tony Styles, and I'm representing Guns Down, Life Up. And I just want to say that, as celebrities, we have a responsibility.
Yes.
And with the material that we put out, we should encourage our children to put the guns down and stop making it look like it's cool to carry guns. Because I don't care how gangster you are, nobody wants to die.
All right, and definitely, and I want to bring, do you want to say something real quick, Mook?
Yeah, I know. Excuse me? Yeah.
Excuse me.
Because I kind of felt like, I'm a
Yeah, go ahead.
rapper. Right.
She was speaking to you.
You're definitely
I'm talking
right about
to you.
that. Right. But see, the thing is, you can't act like it doesn't exist, though. That's the first thing. You got to acknowledge the problem. See, what I always say is that we got to know where we come from, and we got to know where we're going. So if you see a lot of times, the biggest rapper in Brooklyn, Jay-Z, you say it, but he shows evolution of progress. Like, he shows that he came from here, and he doesn't diss it. He came from Marcy, he came from the streets, the gutter. This is what we used to do, but this is what we on now. So when you have to make it, you can't shy away from it, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? You have to let it be known that there is a problem doing it.
All right, baby, I'm sorry, we're just about out of time. We'll talk.
I'm gonna kick it with you.
We're just about out of time. I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the family of Eric Garner came out to support Emerald Snipes. And Emerald was on Hot 97 Street Soldiers. Just real quick, Emerald.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for your support. Come support us on the 23rd. Contact National Action Network to find out where the buses are picking everybody up. We just need everybody to come out, support for the rallies and everything. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors, Metro Plus Health. Go to Hot 97 Metro Plus. We thank them for making this show hot. You go to Hot 97 Metro Plus to register for a free trip to Florida. We thank Metro Plus for sponsoring the show. Another big sponsor, we're going to have that drawing in just a moment, JetBlue, Pascual Rivero. We want to thank you so much for sponsoring this and being with us. Also, Seth from Hype Feet, there he is, Washington Heights. We're going to have the drawing for those sneakers in just a few minutes. Seven Sisters Catering, 500 men making a difference, making a big difference. They got Bedford Hall and Super Wings to cater all that great food downstairs for us and donate that. Tap Snap, I don't know if Ray is in here, but Tap Snap, we thank them. Uppercuts Barbershop, Gus Vargas and family, we thank you. For East Islip and Mook, everybody else that's come out to help us, we thank you so much. To all of our fantastic guests, ADA.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa Evans.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That stopped me in my tracks right there. Okay, I want to thank Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams for welcoming us here and giving us this fantastic opportunity. And of course, I got to thank my whole amazing Hot 97 Street Soldiers hashtag Team Lisa, executive producer Tone Capone. This is the guy you hear me talking about. We got to thank Home Depot. They came out big. I want to thank my whole team. Amber Ravenel, producer. I want to thank Elvina Alston, producer. Rose D. Where is Rose D? Give it up for Rose D. She's been working day and night on this. My intern, Gucci Rap right there, who came on his own. They're taking pictures, tweeting out, doing the social media. We'll give it up to him, please, as he goes back to school. Make sure you finish school. Sebastian, raise your hand. You guys were helping us out. Big time, we thank you. And the whole crew, the community groups, there's too many to mention. I'll be posting them. We'll be posting pictures on lisaevers.com after the show. This show's going to air tomorrow live at 9 a.m. on Hot 97 Street Soldiers. We'll have free podcasts available for you on lisaevers.com right after that. And follow me on Twitter at Lisa Evers, hashtag Push for Peace, Fox 5 News at 5, 6, and 10. Remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. I hope it's your only weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. One time together. Push for peace. Thank you very much. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have the drawing right now for all the raffle prizes, and I'll be sticking around to talk to whoever we need to talk to. So